All right, so I am sitting here with Carey Bringle, proprietor of Smoke Like a Pro, Peg Leg Porker, and he also runs a competitive barbecue team under the banner Peg Leg Porkers. Carey's been in professional barbecue since he's 19, and he's considered an expert in the field among his peers. I'm interviewing today to find out about the four major regions and their differences in barbecue. Carey, thank you.
Welcome.
So, how did you get into barbecue?
Well, my family is all from West Tennessee, so barbecue was sort of in our blood. It's a very regional to West Tennessee as far as pork barbecue goes, and so it's something that I grew up with and was valued by my family, and that's really how I got into barbecue. My uncle competed in the very first Memphis in May World Championship barbecue contest, and so I learned from him and grew up going to a lot of great places in West Tennessee, and so just sort of developed a love for it at a very young age.
So your roots are from Memphis-style barbecue.
My roots are West Tennessee style or Memphis style barbecue, yes.
And what's the characteristics of a Memphis or Western Tennessee?
Western Tennessee barbecue is typically smoked over hickory, typically burnt down hickory coals. There's some variations on it now. You see more smoking or indirect heat, but probably the original Memphis or West Tennessee style was an open pit barbecue. And so you burnt down your coals and you put them directly under either a whole hog or under shoulders on that open pit.
All right. Now, what is Texas barbecue to you?
Well, Texas barbecue is beef to me. So whereas in West Tennessee or Tennessee barbecue, we consider barbecue to specifically be pork. In Texas, they consider barbecue to specifically be beef. They typically smoke brisket. Sometimes you'll see them do some other things like a shoulder clod, but typically it's a brisket and it's a beef product and beef ribs as opposed to a pork shoulder and pork ribs.
What would you say is the distinctive characteristics of Kansas City barbecue?
Kansas City sort of blends the two, and the distinction for me on Kansas City, they cook both beef and they cook pork, so they sort of blend the two regions that are south of both of them, and they use a sauce that is typically a sweeter, more sugary sauce. I would say it's a darker brown barbecue sauce typically. Texas has sauces for beef. Memphis has sauces that are typically a tomato-based sauce that are medium in their sweetness and tanginess. Kansas City, I think of a sweeter sauce, and I think of the blend of the two barbecues. You have companies or restaurants like Arthur Bryan's or Gates that are famous up in the Kansas City area. And it was the gateway for beef country from out west, and so I think that's where it's got a lot of that distinction.
Okay. How about North Carolina barbecue? What would you say is the distinction there?
Chopped. So I think of North Carolina as chopped barbecue. A lot of times they do whole hog. They have a vinegar-based sauce, and North Carolina is typically divided into two regions, one that might have a different style sauce, but when I think of North Carolina, I think of a vinegar-based sauce, typically a apple cider vinegar, pepper, and maybe hot sauce, and that's their sauce. And so it's a very limited in its complexity from a sauce standpoint. They take a whole hog, typically cook it faster than we would in West Tennessee, maybe in around 10 hours, and then they chop the barbecue. And so they'll take the whole hog and chop it completely in very fine portions, and then put that sauce all over that barbecue as they serve it on a sandwich or before they serve it on a sandwich. In West Tennessee, we would view sauce more as a condiment, and when we cook a whole hog, we would pull from different portions of that hog depending on what flavor or what texture that we wanted. With North Carolina, you're taking the whole hog and you're putting it all into one pile and chopping it, and doing a sandwich that way. A lot of the folks in North Carolina will even chop up the skin and put it into that mixture. So they all have very distinctive flavors and taste. I'm a barbecue guy, so people ask me which one I like best. I'm partial to West Tennessee, but that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy or like a North Carolina style sandwich. I do very much.
Thank you for your opinion there. Last question: why do you feel that, in national competitions, what do you feel is the best regional, or what region does well in national competitions, and why?
Well, I'm a pork guy, so I'm partial to the pork barbecue. So from a competitive standpoint, I like what's called the Memphis Barbecue Network style of judging, which is either shoulder, whole hog, or ribs, and so it's just pork competition. That's my partiality. From a national standpoint, you have a KCBS competition circuit, and they judge brisket, chicken, shoulder, and ribs, and so they do. It's more of a cross-regional competition, or it's reflective of the Kansas City style, which is everything. Partial on my part to Memphis style.
Well, great. Well, thank you for your time, and good luck on the barbecue circuit.
All right, thank you.